Welcome, 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 everybody, to day. I forgot the day we're on already. Day 78 of the 21 days of meditation. My name's Michelle Simons, broadcasting here from Lynn, Massachusetts, which is about 20 minutes north of Boston. And we have some great people tonight, great presenters. I think we have a couple of slides for our agenda for the day, or for the night, I should say, for day 78. Our topic is not reacting, which is, I cracked up when our I guess I should say producer of the 21 days told me the topic, because it's a really enjoyable topic, and I think it's something that we all constantly work on. So I'd like to introduce the presenters tonight. So first we have Prashant, and Ritam. So I'll let Prashant introduce himself. He's going to lead us in the foot soak, and then we'll move on to Ritam, who's going to be our musical guest tonight, playing slide guitar. So Prashant.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Good evening, everyone. My name is Prashant Sopori. I'm joining you from the greater Detroit area within Michigan. And I know I've been practicing Sahaja Yoga for the past 28 years. The year was 1995, when Shri Mataji was visiting Mumbai. And I was one among the 10,000 people that night that received the self-realization. And what do I say? It's been a growth journey all along. And not a year has gone by where I feel that, okay, that I'm better than the last year. So transformation has been tremendous, and has impacted various aspects of my life, emotionally, physically, every which way, right? And it's very hard to describe everything in words here, but surely, as part of the later half of today's evening, when we talk about the presenter sharing, I think I'll probably share some of my perspectives there. So with that said, I would pass it on to Rhythm, and very glad to be here and looking forward to the session this evening.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all. Jai Shri Mataji. So, my name is Ritam Sharkar. I have been to Sahaja Yoga since 2001. So, I get my realization in Kolkata center itself. And regarding my instrument, I used to play Indian slide classical guitar. So, I just want to show, as this instrument is a little unique or something new, which you have not seen, I think, beforehand. So this is called Indian slide classical guitar, which is a modified Hawaiian guitar, you can say, and it has been specially designed and customized to play the Indian classical, North Indian classical raga music. So you can see that there are four main string which are meant for playing the melody line or the raga, and there are two chicory string in the front of the main string which are meant for playing the jhala, the first tempo jhala. There are three droning string at the back of the main string and 13 sympathetic string which are running below the main string, which gives the resonating effect when we are hitting each and every note that we are playing inside the raga. So we tuned it according to the raga that we are playing. And it's called Indian because it has been customized and it has been made in India, and slide because we are playing with a bar by sliding it down. So Indian slide, and it's modified from the Hawaiian guitar, so that's why it's a guitar, slide guitar. So the name of my instrument is Indian slide classical guitar. So this is all about my instrument. That's it. Jai Shri Mataji.
Thank you so much, Ritam. And I got the honor of listening to Ritam play this past weekend. And I have to say, like, listening to the slide guitar really puts you in that meditative state. So I'm excited and looking forward to it. But without further ado, we're going to have Prashant lead us in the foot soak. And again, our theme tonight is not reacting, as well as extending the silence. So be prepared to be silent. So, Prashant, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. Well, welcome everyone once again. So today's topic, as Michelle mentioned, is not react. And to me, this topic is extremely profound. One of the reasons because it ties itself very closely to the fundamental state that Shri Mataji has described as the basis, or I would say one of the primary stages that we encounter once we get our self-realization, and which is the thoughtless state, right? So last, I would say Sunday, when Sylvia talked through all the day in the life of a Sahaja Yogi, right? All the various practices, procedures the Sahaja Yogi kind of goes through in order to kind of maintain that inner state. All that really culminates into, I would say, the very first stage is the thoughtless state. And one of the main symptoms of the thoughtless state is that we don't react. And the question is that, why do we react? Typically we react is to the motions of our mind. And our mind is nothing but a concoction of our ego and superego, what we refer to in Sahaja Yoga, which in reality is either our intellectual base or our emotional base. So we all identify ourselves with certain emotional understanding. We have certain behavior patterns, etc. We have certain upbringing, culture, baggage that we carry, and we identify with that. Similarly, we have acquired things through reading, black and white. We understand things a certain way, and that kind of forms our intellectual base, and that kind of gives us an identity. And that identity is challenged whenever we find ourselves in situations, where things are happening differently, or we find a chasm between what we understand versus what the world is presenting to us. And it kind of, turns into a reaction. And reaction doesn't necessarily need to be an aggressive one. It could be a passive reaction as well, where we kind of harm ourselves more as compared to the others. The other part is that how do we correct it? And Shri Mataji, in most simplest of the terms, has explained this thing by saying you have to meditate. And why it is so important, right? Because once you meditate, once you reflect, once you break the association with your ego and superego, with your intellectual base and your conditioned base, you're able to connect with your spirit. And once you identify yourself with the spirit, all these false associations with our ego and superego, they start falling away. And that's when we kind of react to the needs of our spirit inside and don't react outside. Two primary energy centers that really come into play in helping us not to react are our Vishuddhi, the fifth energy center, which allows us to develop the witness state, and the sixth energy center, the Agya, which is where once the Kundalini mother, she passes through the Agya, she creates a space between our ego and superego and allows it to transcend into Sahasrara, which is where, by the benefit of integration, we experience that innate state of thoughtlessness, and which results into not reacting. So that is, I would say, a bit of an introduction over there. And for the course of our foot soaking, this is a state we'll try and get to, as Michelle was pointing out, right, that we will be going into extended stages of silence. So throughout foot soaking, we'll primarily focus on relieving ourselves of the baggage of left and right, and working on our Vishuddhi and Agya to get to that state. So with that said, I'm hoping that everyone has their foot soaking apparatus ready and in front of them. So let's get ourselves settled. Be very relaxed. We'll focus less on effort and more on, I would say, prayer and attention. So let's just relax ourselves, keep both our hands on our lap. Take a couple deep breaths. Allow our attention to fully settle on the very top of our head. And we will raise our Kundalini and put ourselves in Bandhan. So the way we do it is we let our right hand rotate, our left hand moves up straight, right hand rotates in a clockwise direction around our left hand, and we can maintain our attention on the center of our left palm. And we'll be raising first our left channel, the Ida Nadi, and gradually tie a knot on the very top. You can do it nice and slow. The second time we raise our Pingla Nadi, and this time we tie 2 knots, 1 and 2. And third time around, we tie all 3 channels, Ida, Pingla, and Sushumna, and we tie 3 knots. Then we bring our hand on our right side and scoop it to the left, 1. And similarly, we take 7 such bandhans for each of our energy centers. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Once we have tied ourselves into the bandhan, we have established the meditative state. We can give 7 vibrations or 7 rounds to the foot soaking tub in front of us, just vibrating the water, and to the jar that we have kept for rinsing the feet later. With that, we can submerge our feet into the water. We'll first balance our left side, right hand towards Mother Earth, left hand on our lap. We'll make a very simple prayer to Mother Kundalini. Mother, please bless me with your complete presence on my left side. I want to experience you on my left side. Now we'll balance our right side, bring our right hand in our lap, and left hand towards the sky. And here we will pray to Mother Kundalini. Mother Kundalini, please express your aspect of right side within my being. Allow me to experience you on my right channel, on my Pingla Nadi. We'll bring our left hand back in our lap. Now, maintaining our attention on the very top of our head, we'll extend our attention all the way down to the base of our spine, on the very first energy center of Muladhara. There resides the primordial innocence principle of Sri Ganesha. We'll make a very simple prayer to Sri Ganesha. Sri Ganesha, please remove all the obstacles in the path of my ascent. Allow me to experience my identity as a spirit. Bless me, Sri Ganesha. Now we'll gradually raise our attention along our spine to our center heart, and we'll just keep our right hand on our center heart. And we'll just pray from the bottom of our heart, Mother Kundalini, please come and reside in my heart. Give me the complete security of being the spirit. I'm not this ego. I'm not this mind. I'm not the conditionings. I'm just the pure spirit. Please fill my heart with your love. Now we'll bring our right hand, the finger for the Vishuddhi on our throat area, and gradually raise our attention to the Vishuddhi, the fifth energy center. And here we'll pray to Mother Kundalini. Mother Kundalini, please bless me with the witness state. Please give me the ability to witness the drama. Please bless me with all the powers of Vishuddhi. Now we'll raise our right hand and place on our forehead, holding both the temples, left and right. And here, with our head gently bent forward, we'll just pray to Mother Kundalini, Mother, please remove all the afflictions of ego and superego from within me. Allow me to experience the thoughtlessness. Give me the nirvichara samadhi, the thoughtless state. Give me the ability to forgive everyone, including my own self. Now we allow our attention to transcend into Sahasrara, and we'll place the center of our palm, the right hand, on the very top of our head. We'll pray to Mother Kundalini. Mother Kundalini, please give me the complete integration. Please give me the complete integration. Allow me to experience my Sahasrara. With that, we can bring our right hand down and just stay in the state for a bit. Just watch our attention. At this point, we can open our eyes and we can rinse our feet. And then just put away the foot soaking tub for disposing it later. Maintaining this state, we'll be internalizing a lecture of Shri Mataji, where Shri Mataji talks about the brain being the reality and mind is truly a myth. It's a lecture from 1996, and followed after Shri Mataji's lecture, we'll be hearing Ritam Sarkar play the slide guitar.
The mind about which we speak and depend upon is a myth. There's nothing like mind. Brain is reality, not the mind. Mind is created by us reacting to outside. Either we react to conditionings or to our ego. Thus this mind is created like bubbles on the ocean of reality. But that's not reality. With this mind, whatever we decide, we know is very limited, elusive, and sometimes shocking. The mind always moves in a linear direction. And because there's no reality in it, it recoils and boomerangs. Thus, all the enterprises, all the projections so far we have done, it seems come back to us. Whatever they discover comes back to us as a big destructive power or a very big shock. So one has to decide what to do, how to be out of this trap of our mind. Kundalini is the solution. When she is awakened, she takes you. With that awakening, she takes you beyond your mind. The first thing is to go beyond your mind. With mind, you will do many things, but it will not be satisfying. It will be not a solution. It will not help. And when we start depending too much on our mind, we develop all kinds of physical, mental, emotional problems. Now the latest is the stress. And the stress has no solution, they say. But in Sahaja Yoga, we find the solution by crossing over this mind. It's like a barrier for our advancement. So, when you get your realization, you must understand that your Kundalini has taken your attention beyond the mind. Now, this reaction to outside has come because we human beings have a prism-like brain, or we can say prism-like skull. And when the energy passes into it, I've explained it in my books, it goes into bifurcations, or you can say refractions, by which our attention goes out and we react. If we react too much, then these bubbles create a very horrible mind which can lead to any kind of thing. It justifies itself, it pampers your ego. The ego and the conditioning that creates this mind start using, and this mind for the purpose of their fulfillment of their all the accumulation of ideas and thoughts which has no backing, which has no reality with it. It's like we make the computer. Ultimately we become slaves of the computer. We make the watches ourselves and then we become slaves of the watches. That's how it dominates human beings. And when a person who has a very strong mind decides to destroy like Hitler did with some idea, he can go on destroying, which has a very far-fetched effect on our culture, on our spirituality. Now the first step is to become thoughtlessly aware, where you cross your mind. You go above your mind. Mind cannot affect you. This is the first stage, as we call it, thoughtless awareness. Second one is where you start seeing the working of this Parama Chaitanya, of this all-pervading power, and you start becoming aware that there is a lot of truth in what Mataji says, that there is this power which works out many things. It works miraculously so many things for you. It gives you blessings, it guides you, it helps you. In so many ways it helps you. It gives you good health, good wealth, and also a very good society of very beautiful people in the collective. All that you can see clearly is happening here. Now this happening of achieving thoughtless awareness is very simple and easy. But to maintain at that point is difficult. We still react and we think.
Oh, Ritam, thank you so much. That felt so good. I really rather just listen to that than anything else for the night. Um, so the next meditation that we're gonna do is, just trying to go a little bit deeper and staying in the silence a little bit more. And concluding that, we'll have some presenter sharing by myself and Prashant. And at any point in time, if people need some help in the breakout rooms, feel free to message in the chat to the breakout room help, I think is the name of the person to message. So yeah, breakout room help. So let's stay in this meditative state. I think and correct me if I'm wrong, we can talk about it after. I think that's for the Agya chakra, was that music that we just heard. And I don't know if you guys experienced this, but I really felt like, that really helps stop any of the thoughts and take us to that thoughtless state. So let's just keep our eyes closed. And the two chakras that we'll put a little bit of attention on is the Vishuddhi and the Agya, because these are the two centers that affect us when we react, whether that's internally or externally. So let's just close our eyes and allow our attention to come inside and just put our attention in the center. So what does that look like? I always just kind of feel on the subtle level my central channel, so which runs from the base of our spine to the top of our head. And just putting our attention on the central channel. And I apologize if you hear any background noise. This is a good practice in not reacting, because my really sweet neighbor is having a loud phone call outside my window, even though my window's shut. So hopefully you don't hear too much. So let's use our right hand, and we're just going to raise our energies up a couple of times in front of our body. So just putting the right hand with the palm facing up across from below our navel a little bit, and then just raise it up. And just see what we feel on the palm of our hand as we do this, and stay with our attention inside. Let's just continue to raise our energies up. And then let's just place our right hand across the throat, keeping our attention in Sahasrara at the top of our heads. Left hand open in our lap, and the right hand just across the Vishuddhi. And in this silence, we're just asking inside to please cleanse my Vishuddhi chakra so that I can be in the witness state. We talk about this detached witness state, which allows us to watch what we call the divine play, watching the events unfold in front of us without reacting, staying at peace within. And then let's move our right hand across our forehead. We can ask here for the quality of forgiveness. And we can ask Mother Kundalini, please remove all the ego and the superego. Shri Mataji talked about the reactions come from our conditionings or our ego. So please remove all the ego, all the conditionings, all the reactions. Mother Kundalini, please release all the tensions and all the heat from our Agya chakras. Make me completely forgiving. Let's take our index or our ring finger and just place it on the center of our Agya chakra, and we can just move it in a clockwise circle gently around the center of our forehead. Just giving it a gentle massage. And then just move it over to the left side. And we'll do it again a few times. Just feeling like we're moving, pushing the ego or any tensions just off our head. And we can even kind of toss it aside a little bit. Do this a few more times. And then just gently massage up like this, and then place our hand on the top of our head. So sometimes if we feel the tensions in our forehead, we can just push up with the palm of our hand a couple of times and it helps. And then just place our hand on the Sahasrara. Let our attention completely come to the place where we feel the palm of our hand touching the top of our head. Slowly let our right hand float above our Sahasraras and follow the palm of our hand with our attention. And when we feel our attention is here above our heads, we can slowly bring the right hand down, and we're just going to sit in complete silent meditation. I think we put up a nice photo of Shri Mataji. And for the next few minutes, we're just going to sit in complete silence. Now, when we feel ready, we can slowly open up our eyes and just introspect for a moment and see where was our attention. Were we able to stay in that state, or did we have some thoughts? And it's not to condemn ourselves, but just to be able to really see ourselves and see where we are. And then it gives us something to work on. So let's conclude the meditation. Let's take a deep breath and just leave all the tensions, anything left over, surrender them to the atmosphere. And then we'll conclude by raising our Kundalini and putting ourselves in a bandhan. So we can do that. Tying one knot, then 2 knots, then 3, and then we'll give ourselves a bandhan, which is 7 semicircles. So 1 for our innocence, 2 for our creativity, 3 for our peace, 4 for our compassion, 5 for our collectivity, 6 for forgiveness, and 7 for integration. Let's check our vibrations. Just hold our hands out for a moment at heart level. And just put attention just along the surface of the palms of the hand and see if we're experiencing the cool breeze. And if we're not, what's internally we can ask for, we can pray to please let me experience the tangible evidence of Sahaja Yoga, of experiencing the vibrations or the Param Chaitanya. We can bring our hands together and bow our head, just bringing our attention again to the center and just humbly thanking Shri Mataji for working so hard for our self-realization, giving us this experience that we can pass on to others. And that concludes the meditation part of tonight's program. We have a couple of announcements to make for the programs that are coming up. There's our course schedule, 21 days, session 4, Deepening the Silence on Thursday, July 6th through Tuesday, August 22nd. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday for 7 weeks. And then the collective foot soak meditations ending the day in the silence of the spirit are Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. They're a shorter session, 30 minutes long, a little different than this, with just a foot soak and a short meditation after, same link. And day 79 is going to be enlightened choices. So how we experience or get to experience these choices that aren't mental, that become enlightened once we have our self-realization and we start to experience some of those benefits of Sahaja Yoga. And resources, you can always request a mentor. You can do it in the chat here. You can chat to breakout room help. You can join the WhatsApp group, was just put in the chat there if you guys want to click those links. And live YouTube sessions and recorded sessions and handouts, which are wonderful if you guys like something sort of to hold on to and read and look at, to how to meditate at home, foot soaking, balancing, all those great things. And there you go, us.sahajayoga.org. If you want an interactive workshop in the breakout room with a special lead, with a smaller group, you can ask some more personal questions and things like that. Meet with a experienced, seasoned Sahaja Yoga practitioner, teacher. Just request breakout room help. And they can also help you review what's covered so far in case you are new or here for the first time or fairly new. You can get some assistance. So now I'm going to invite Prashant back with me. He and I are going to talk about some of our personal experiences, not reacting, or maybe we'll talk about some experiences about reacting and how not reacting is so much better, and how Sahaja Yoga has helped us. So welcome back, Prashant.
Thank you.
And what we'll do is I'll read the question, I'll pass it to you, Prashant. Feel free to share your experience, and then, if maybe I'll add a thing or two as well, and we'll tell you guys some stories for the next few minutes. So our first question here is, please share how you understand not reacting from the point of view of Sahaja Yoga.
Yeah, I think this is a great question. And I would say I sort of touched on this thing at the beginning of the foot soak, that from a standpoint of Sahaja Yoga, really, I think today's lecture was a direct message on that, right? Shri Mataji explained, I would say very clearly that reaction is a direct result of, us sort of identifying with our mind, which is really kind of a combination of our ego and superego. And really speaking, kind of elaborating on that, what really ends up happening is that our ego, whether that is a direct result of our strong belief in certain kind of things or our emotional grounding on certain kind of things, that becomes our identity over a course of time. And somehow, whether it is true or not, we start believing in that identity to be our, you can say, some kind of a strength that we have, and then anytime we find that being challenged, we end up reacting. It somehow gives us a sense of perfection of, this is how we're recognized in the society. Wherever we kind of go, people kind of look upon and say, okay, you're a personality of this kind. And whenever they say that you're a personality of a kind, they typically are looking at your key behavioral traits, and whether it is an intellectual perspective that you bring or an emotional bearing that you kind of carry along with you, that becomes your way in the society, and you somehow start, even whether you like or not, like, for example, I will say, if there is a guy who has this reputation of being angry or being short-tempered, for some reason, then they somehow feel compelled that in a certain kind of situation, I'm supposed to react a certain way. It's almost like, catch-22, that, they might know that this is a shortcoming within me, but because everybody around them sort of expects them to be angry, they tend to be angry, So I think it is, Sahaja Yoga kind of gives you that ability to not be a reflector. And then over a course of time, as you meditate and you kind of, mature in your practice, you start becoming more of an absorber, rather than reflector, And what it really means is that you start becoming a little bit more attentive towards the need of your spirit. What really makes my mother Kundalini happy, what will kind of keep me in order, as far as what does my Kundalini really expect of me, and as we kind of cater to those reactions of the inside, our outside identities, they gradually start falling away. And I think that's where, I think it's a hard achieved goal. I would say it's one of those stretch goals, right? So we all time and again find ourselves in those situations, but it is something which becomes easier as we kind of grow in our practice of Sahaja Yoga. Maybe you can share some of your thoughts, Michelle, as well.
It's so funny because professionally, I do counseling, and I was trained in psychology, and I feel like Sahaja Yoga is the divine psychology, it's, and yeah, and you just described, how and why we do the things we do in such a great way. Yeah, what I learned, I mean, I spend spend a lot of time in urban areas where like aggression is looked at as, a positive trait, right? So for the last, 30 plus or something years of my life, or more actually, I almost was trained, that you're going to be more powerful. You're going to protect yourself if you're more aggressive, if you're, you talk loud, you act a certain way. And so I've been practicing Sahaja Yoga a little over 8 years now, and I've had to unravel a lot of that. And what I've found is the times that I can really step back and witness a situation and not react where I normally would assert myself, it's a much more powerful experience. And I watch sometimes the thing that I desire, that I believe is right, sometimes even happen without me saying anything, and that's really amazing, because a lot of times we learn like empowerment, find your voice, don't, speak up. And in our society, we're really encouraged, to do the opposite of what we're learning in Sahaja Yoga and what we experience, which is way more powerful than trying to yell over 20 people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The silence works, that's what I've seen. Sometimes, just retracting out of a situation, you feel that, okay, I think at that moment you feel so much more powerful. You kind of see yourself above the situation, above the complexity of the issue, right? And there's something else that's acting at that moment, Yeah.
And
That's so, yeah.
the more we're practicing it, the more we get tested. I'll speak for myself, but that's coming in the next question.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So get ready. All right, so the next question is, please share some stories or of situations in which you learned about not reacting in your practice of Sahaja Yoga.
Yeah, and I would, address this one slightly differently. Of course, the stories are, I would say, innumerable, and there are just instances of reaction that you kind of, sometimes you come strong out of it, sometimes you kind of fall prey to it, and then you kind of go back to, recognizing, okay, what happened, and then you balance yourself out, you get yourself corrected, you're like, okay, I failed miserably here, so. But what I will what I will do though is I'll kind of go and sort of give a lens of my personality, prior to Sahaja Yoga, and then sort of, through that context, provide as to how Sahaja Yoga kind of helped me mature into, I would say, a slightly better person, so going back, I would say almost 3 decades, so prior to Sahaj, I was always, I was brought up in a very good and loving family, exceptional parents, so God bless them, and I was always a good kid, but had this reactive tendency, and also carried a bit of a temper, so people who knew me then, they find very hard to associate with this person now, and I always had very strong beliefs, whether it was an understanding of a particular subject or a certain kind of, you can say, belief that I carried. And somehow I had to be right. At the end of a argument, I had to be right. And anytime that was challenged, I would get really, really upset. I know. So what really happened was, as I got my realization, and I think it was something which just happened over a period of time, that, it was not something which happened overnight, that I gradually felt that that, I at some point realized that I don't feel the need of, answering back anymore. You know, Somehow you start becoming a little bit more confident about, because it's really the insecurity. If you think about it, it is the insecurity which results into reaction, that you are being challenged, somehow. But once you start associating to something more higher, or you You realize your security lies in your spirit or in your innate self, and that cannot be challenged by anyone. You are who you are. I think that's where I started to, see some of these things gradually drop out. Another key trait that I carried then, and I would say even for some time while I was uh, in my initial years in Sahaj, was I was because of my strong left side catch. When I first came into Sahaj, uh, I was extremely afraid of darkness. So especially if I was all alone, I would keep the light on while sleeping. And it was over a course of time, I realized that one fine day, it didn't impact me at all. That reaction to the darkness had completely faded away. And I was completely comfortable, all by myself, nobody. And it's just a small thing, but it is sort of an example of how the innate connection gives you that security, which allows those vulnerabilities to drop off. So yeah, I would say those two kind of come to mind.
I feel like I don't have to say anything. You just described my personality. Apparently. That's great. Yeah, these situations, I as well, after Sahaja Yoga and after really understanding that this experience is between me and the divine, and there's nobody I have to prove anything to. And that is what a relief that is, because you don't have to get it. We say like we can choose now not to get in the boxing ring with somebody.
Mhm.
And that's such a relief to say, you know what, I'm not gonna, because I I think once then the consequences are worse, right? So when I do engage in those things and I do react, I'll end up with such a headache, or I'll end up so miserable. And that's really when I'm like, I don't condemn myself, oh, you're a horrible person or anything, but I just, like you said, like, okay, that was a failed attempt, and you wait for the next situation kind of. And when I don't react, and I'll share a quick thing, I was working on a garden all weekend.
Mhm.
And I was staying in this area like a little bit longer and there was like a few people in this area that were sort of cleaning up and everything and leaving. And I just kept setting up shop to work in this garden. So I put my tarp down and some tools and all the garden tools and everything, all the essentials. And as this area was getting cleaned up, every time I turned around, one of my things was missing.
Mhm.
I spent probably the first hour and a half that I was like just preparing to start to work, searching for my belongings, to the point of like being mind blown that I can't believe something else has disappeared again. So,
Right.
and I was reacting so bad to the point where, I was just like, I can't even understand what's happening right now. And
Mm.
then as the weekend progressed and, things shifted, I calmed down. And now I'm working in this garden and really enjoying it. I love getting in the dirt, and like, it's the best. I can be thoughtless and plant some trees and stuff. And the wheelbarrow that I was using, the cotter pin from the wheel came out, right? So I started pushing the wheelbarrow. I noticed something was wrong. I flipped it to the side and I realized the little pin was out. So the thing, and I didn't react. I was like, because I was in a different state at this point. And I was like looking around for something I could, jimmy in there and just keep it together so I can get through the weekend and use the wheelbarrow. And I walked in this like inside, there's sort of like a barn type of thing. And I walk inside and I look down and there's exactly a cotter pin on the floor that I needed. And I was like, are you kidding me? And so I go and I pop it on. I didn't even have to bend or twist or anything. It worked perfectly. And I just laughed like, this is what happens when I don't react. What I need comes true. And I flipped the wheelbarrow back over And the name of the wheelbarrow was True Temper.
Wow.
I have the
That's amazing. Yeah.
so cool and such an amazing lesson that I took the picture and I sent it to 3 people that I was like, you're not gonna believe this. So yeah,
That's
that was
really simple. Yeah. Yeah, I think, there is also, when Shri Mataji says, and I've encountered this thing so many times in different instances, where she says, trust yourself. I think really, I would say the core message over here is that, you are the spirit and trust your spirit, and it will all work out. And sometimes, there is like a day which is looking like, unsurmountable. There is so much going on in the day, and you're like, okay, I have no idea how will I get through this thing. And so there's two ways to go about it. You run yourself into a frenzy, and you say, I don't have time for meditation today. I will just get on with the day because I have to start so early. And it's a train wreck. Things are just not working out. On the contrary, I've seen, you meditate, you forget everything else, give yourself 20 minutes to get balanced. And I kid you not, I mean, things just fall in place. You don't even have an idea how things are working out. Everything that is supposed to be so complex just somehow unravels, and, things just continue to flow. And yeah, it's just amazing how things work out. Trust yourself and move on. And the rest, everything gets taken care of.
That's awesome. So true. All right, and the grand finale question is, what helps you the most to keep growing in your ability not to react?
Yeah, I would say it is simple but complex, right? We have to meditate. I think that is probably, I would say, is the simplest thing. That you have to meditate. And when we say meditate, it is the feeling of the Sahasrara. It is not just I would say, some kind of a ritual that we have to go through. We balance left. I mean, we have to make sure that at the end of it, I think what also is the focus of this segment of 21 day is deepening the silence. It is, whether you meditate 5 minutes, 15 or 20, it doesn't matter. But at the end of it, feel that connection for a bit. You have to feel the Sahasrara. And only when Sahasrara is being felt, that's when the growth is really happening. And it's only in thoughtless state the growth takes place. So I would say that is probably the simplest answer. And then from as far as putting it into practice on a day-to-day basis, you will find, no matter how long you have been meditating, you will find yourself in those situations. And while it might be extremely hard, what I typically try and do is that if I find myself reacting to a particular situation, somehow purposefully, I've sort of, kept that mental check now that, okay, try and take a step back. If the situation looks too heated, you find yourself, try and walk away, from that place, and it's better to walk away than to say something that you might end up regretting later, so, and then get into the left Vishuddhi loop, so it's better to just walk away. Or even, if the situation provides an avenue, close your eyes and just pray to Mother Kundalini. I find that so powerful, because it's not so much the effort, it is the prayer which kind of results after realization. You're like a child and you just pray, Mother Kundalini, please make me thoughtless. And it works wonders. You all of a sudden find a unique calm within you, and then hopefully be able to, position yourself better in that situation. So that, I would say, works the best for me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What
Yeah.
are your thoughts, Michelle? Yeah.
So nowadays, I can really see myself, like, even if I'm in the middle of reacting, I'm watching myself, like my spirit is like stronger and more powerful than the ego and the reaction.
Mm.
So it's like, I will say at this point in my life, there's no place where I feel totally out of control, like the ego is just taking over and I'm, losing my mind. And so due to the meditation and due to the fact that I ask, in my meditations too, like, please give me the awareness, give me the awareness when I'm going off to the left or off to the right. Just let me be aware. And I have that heightened awareness through the meditation that I can really see it happening. And so sometimes, like you said, I'll fail miserably and I'll be like, I know I'm doing this and I'm going to keep going because the train's running, and it's not stopping. And, but I'm real aware of it. And the other piece is like, I really believe like we can start any moment on a clean slate. So if I do mess it up, I'm able to say, you know what, I'm going to step back. I'm sorry. I'm going to step back and not, like continue this, whatever it is. And that's the other good thing. And Sahaja yogis are very forgiving.
They better be.
With each other, which is such an awesome quality of people that meditate. I feel like we have a lot of compassion for each other, because we're constantly working on ourselves, and our little stuff's going to come up and we see it, and then we have the ability to say, yeah, that wasn't me, and I don't want to do that. And it's such a great, like what a freedom to be able to correct ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is the other added part of it, right? I mean, even if we go astray at times, the recognition is there, the awareness is there, and we are able to apply the right correction to it, so yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was great hearing from you. It's always fun to present with somebody because you learn so much from them and similarity.
Absolutely.
So awesome. So I think that concludes our 3 questions. And from here, where do we go? Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining. We appreciate your presence and your patience, and hope you had a good experience throughout today's meditation, deepening the silence. And we'll see you in 2 days. And just a reminder that tomorrow is end the day in the silence of your spirit with a foot soak, following the next day 79 coming up. So thanks everybody for joining. That concludes tonight's program. Have a good night.